There are 3 key go-to-market channels that you can use to drive growth in 2025. I'm particularly excited about these 3 channels. It's what I'm using in my own SaaS companies, and it's also what I'm teaching to all the SaaS founders that I coach on their go-to-market strategy. Here's a big question though. What are these 3 channels? How do you actually be successful in them? And how do you deploy them as part of your 2025 go-to-market strategy? On this episode, I'm gonna walk you through these 3 key channels, and I'm gonna walk you through exactly how I'm deploying them and why these 3 channels are important. And when you implement these 3 channels in your go-to-market strategy for 2025, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, if you're a customer of one of my SaaS companies, people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. At the moment of filming this episode, I am scaling 2 SaaS companies. I run a side hustle that's a micro SaaS business, and I'm also coaching 300 plus SaaS founders on their go-to-market strategy. In fact, just last week, I hosted nearly 30 SaaS founders here at our headquarters in Dallas, Texas, on how to plan their 2025 go-to-market strategy. Here's an actual picture from it, and here's another picture from it from the after party. It was an incredible time. Here's the thing. It gave me some time to pause and reflect and compare notes on what each of these founders are really using to drive growth, what are the strategies that are working, and what I'm using in my own businesses. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that you absolutely need to know. And I'm gonna teach you why these 3 principles are relevant, why these 3 channels are relevant, and why you should be using them and why they work. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. So principle number 0 is the chessboard. I always like to explain the chessboard that we're operating in because that guides the principles and the channels that I'm going to tell you about. For any single SaaS company, for any single business, for any single product, this is the core marketing funnel that we are all following. You essentially have awareness. This is where your target market is aware of the problem that they have, and they're starting to think, hey, we should do something about this. Then you have consideration. Consideration is when your target market is saying, this is a real problem and we should figure out a solution for this, and they start researching. And then there's actual conversion and revenue. Conversion and revenue is when they're actively buying. And once they have actually bought, then you have referrals and loyalty where they're actually loving your product and referring you to other customers and other people. They're in completing the full circle. Now, here's one thing that people don't understand. Only 3% of your target market is actively buying. The rest of them are somewhere in this journey where they're not even aware of it, or they're mildly aware of the problem, or they're starting to consider an actual solution. The 3 principles that I'm going to guide you through maps to each parts of this funnel of your target market. So principle number 1 is to focus on this 3%. The 3% of your ideal customer profile, the 3% of your ideal market that knows about the problem, they've started to research potential solutions, and they're in the phase of actually choosing and making a decision on what to buy, whether it's a software, a service, or whatever it may be. So this is the first go-to-market channel that I focus on, because for any one of my software companies, for any founder that I coach, there's a certain segment of the market that is already aware of the problem, and we want to target them and we want to win that business. The number 1 channel for 2025 that we're using across all our companies that I'm teaching founders to use is Google SEM. This is search engine marketing. What you're essentially doing is choosing a set of keywords that folks are already searching for that signals buyer intent. So for example, one of my companies is a referral marketing platform. And so if people are searching for referral marketing platform, chances are they're well within this buying phase of the journey. And they're actually thinking about what are the best referral marketing programs out there and platforms out there. Now, another keyword might be best referral marketing platform. In this kind of scenario, they're even further down into this 3%. They're actually thinking about which one's the best one. I'm getting ready and closer to buy. So in these kind of scenarios, we don't really have to educate the market. They already know these platforms exist. They're already looking for a solution. And our job is to communicate to them through our messaging, through our strategic positioning, through our ad, through our manifesto that we're the best. We are the best at what we do, and that's why they should go with us. So Google SEM is one of the best channels that I'm seeing across the companies that I coach, across my own companies, that actually is seeing results on capturing the existing demand, this 3% of the market that is actively in market and looking for solutions. And there's a nuance here. You want to make sure you're not targeting keywords that are further up in the buying journey. You may not want to spend Google money on that. For example, if people are just searching for ideas for SaaS companies versus SaaS go-to-market strategy, ideas for SaaS companies signals someone that's just browsing and thinking about starting a SaaS company. Whereas SaaS go-to-market strategy, it tends to be someone that's actively in the thick of building out their go-to-market strategy and scaling their own SaaS companies. If you start thinking about that ideal customer even more, churn management may be something where they're actively thinking about how to reduce churn, which means that they already have a go-to-market strategy. For this particular principle, you really want to focus on what is that 3% of the market, what signals, what keywords signals the fact that they're actively buying, and you want to bid on those keywords with your ads to get them into your messaging and your product, your lead magnet, and your sales pages. This is principle number 1. Now, what you've done over here is with this play, you can essentially pay Google to actually target the people that are already in market. They've already gone through this process. The problem is it's only 3% of your target market, which means that 97% of your market is somewhere over here. They either don't know about it, or they're mildly aware of it, or they're considering it, which is where these next two principles come in. The big play, the big difference between these principles and this one is this is already people that are converted. They're actually looking for a solution. Whereas in these kind of cases, you really have to convince them that this problem exists. It's a top problem. What happens if they don't do something about this problem, and why your product is the best way to solve their problem. So all this work has to go in over here, which is why it takes a little bit more work to get them into this process. At the end of the day, if you're only focused on the 3%, you're limiting yourself, you're limiting your growth. And honestly, if you're in a competitive space, they're probably not going to go with a startup. They're going to go with a de facto platform, which is why you want to go further up the funnel to get into their mind share, to educate them early on, so that by the time they're buying, they actually choose from you. And the best part about this is if you actually go further up and you drive the awareness and you educate them on the problem and you build that trust early, you can actually accelerate their path to buying sooner and buying from you, which is where principle number 2 comes in, where you actually want to get in front of your ideal customers and start to educate them. Now, one of the best ways to do this is outbound. Outbound, everyone says that it doesn't work, but there's a nuance over here. Now, my last company was Tauda. We pioneered the sales engagement space. We were one of the first platforms. We amassed 100,000 registered users. We had 10,000 paid users. We founded the game on how to do sales emails. Here's the thing. If you're doing sales emails the 2010s way, which is you're loading up a sequence and you're spamming hundreds of thousands of people, then it's not going to work very well. However, outbound today still does work really well. What works really well is simple messages with a very clear value proposition. Now, I ran a test like this very recently where I wanted to test outbound and what works and what doesn't work for one of my companies, Megaphone. Megaphone I mentioned earlier in the video, it's a referral platform. So one of the things I did is I loaded up my LinkedIn and I targeted chief revenue officers. And for chief revenue officers, I direct messaged 150 of them with one simple message. The simple message clearly articulated that I run a company called Megaphone and clearly articulated our value proposition. It was essentially 3 sentences. It was nothing crazy. There was no weird personalization about the same football team or the same college that we went to. It was none of that. And out of that, we booked 10 meetings and already closed 1 deal with more deals in pipeline. That worked incredibly well. What doesn't work is really long emails. What doesn't work is really fake personalization. What doesn't work is really long messages. What really works is clear messaging that taps into a top urgent problem that your ideal customer has. So outbound still works, and it's one of the best channels in 2025, except you have to get your messaging right. The better your messaging, that one-liner, your value proposition, the more effective your outbound campaigns are going to be. And honestly, the more effective any of these campaigns are going to be. So my number 2 channel for 2025 that we're going to be doubling down on across all my companies that I'm going to be teaching the founders that I coach on is outbound and how to do it properly the 2025 way. Now, there's a third one, and I also have a bonus one. So let me pause here for a second. If you're starting to see the power in this, if you're starting to see the power of targeting the 3% market first, and then starting to go up the funnel and starting to educate your buyers and getting to them earlier, to actually cold emailing them, and then to go into the third principle that I'm gonna go into. If you're starting to see some of the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. And so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. Also, if you're in the stage where you're building out your go-to-market strategy to drive growth for 2025, I encourage you to check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. It's the program where I work with you to actually build out your go-to-market strategy and execute on it. It's an incredible program. I'll link to it below. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. I'll give you more details. Let's go to principle number 3 and the bonus principle that I have for you, the bonus channel that I have for you. Principle number 3, this has been the bread and butter of what I've done. It's worked for 10, 15 years and it works better than ever today. And it's social. Social organic is essentially the best way to get in front of your ideal customers and to educate them and to drive awareness about the problem you're solving and be top of mind as they're considering the solution. The reason this works is you're not selling to them like you are over here. You're actually educating them. You're educating them on the problem that they have. You're educating them on the solution. You're educating them on why you're 10 times better than anyone else. And because you're getting in so early, you're more likely to win the deal by the time they get into the purchasing phase, which is only 3% of the market. Now, if you're watching this video, this is a form of organic social, but you don't have to do YouTube. The best way to do organic social today, especially for SaaS, which is what we're doubling down on across my companies and any founder that I coach, is LinkedIn. Most ideal customers are on LinkedIn or X or on Facebook or on Instagram. And in all of those channels, you can actually post quality content and you can educate your buyers and get them to trust you and get them to work with you. You can educate them and then they will buy from you. And that's one of the best ways to drive demand in 2025. When you get organic social working, you'll actually generate a lot of leads. There's a certain way to do organic social so you don't end up like a broke influencer. What you don't want to do is post things that are kind of cringy. You want to post things that actually educates your ideal customers about the problem and the solution. And you always want to link to your manifesto so you generate leads. And those leads you can convert and nurture to real revenues and customers and referrals, which is super powerful. Now, I did promise you a bonus one to social organic, and I want to give you that. One of the best hacks that we found is you take your best performing social organic content. Let's just say you do a post and you look in your metrics that it generated 50 leads or 20 leads or whatever it may be. Well, that's a great piece of content that your ideal customers love. So what you can do is take your best content and turn it into social ads. And that's the bonus one, where you can actually take the best content and you can go to any one of those platforms and say, look, this messaging works really well. I really want to pay you so you get it in front of my ideal customers on a consistent basis every single day. So when we usually work with founders, we teach them how to develop their messaging. Then we test it on social. And once it works, you can scale it using ads, which essentially turns on all 3 of these strategies. You turn on ads, you turn on outbound, you turn on social organic, and essentially you have conversation dominance so that for your target market, you're educating them and you're capturing the demand. And that's how you drive growth in 2025. So let's recap. This is the core funnel that we're all dealing with. You have awareness, where your ideal customers discover the problem. Then you have consideration, where they're looking for the solution and comparing the alternatives. And then you have only 3% of the market that is actively buying. And once they've bought and once they're happy, they're referring. What you want to do is essentially capture the 3% first. Google search engine marketing is the best way to do that first. You want to do buying intent keywords. Once you capture that, then you need to really solve the problem of how do I educate my customers? How do I build trust so that by the time they realize the problem, they look at the solutions, they choose me every single time. And for that, outbound works really well. The 2025 way of doing outbound is to do very simple messages, no fake personalization, but a top line problem and really crisp messaging. And you can also do social organic, where you're educating them and serving them and generating leads from it. And the bonus trick here is you take your best performing content, turn them into ads, and that way it scales infinitely. And once you have all 3 of these going, you are running conversation dominance in your market and you're driving growth for 2025. Now you know the exact 3 channels that work best, along with my bonus trick to take the best channel and put it on turbo. What you may not know is, TK, how do I structure my messaging? What kind of keywords do I bid on? What's my ideal customer? How do I actually write that simple outbound email that's not fake personalized, but really resonates with my ideal customer? How do I post social organic content? And how do I turn them into ads? Well, this is what goes into building a proper go-to-market strategy. So if you're at that stage where you're building out your go-to-market strategy and you want to work together to actually build out your go-to-market strategy and put all these things into play, then join my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. It is an incredible program. Inside of the program, we do 3 things. First, we flesh out your ideal customer profile. Now, the more specific your ideal customer profile to get to that next stage of revenue, the more successful the rest of your go-to-market strategy is going to be, which is why I guide you in a 29-point analysis to really flesh out your ICP. Once you have your ICP, then comes step 2. Step 2 is your manifesto. This is your positioning, it's your messaging, it's your strategic narrative, and I work with you to actually flesh this out. The more effective your manifesto, the more effective Google SEM is going to be, the more effective outbound is going to be, the more effective social organic is going to be. So this is the bedrock to your go-to-market strategy. Once you have these 2 things, you essentially have your core go-to-market strategy. Then comes the 3rd pillar. The 3rd pillar is your Broadway show. That's a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that you run to actually bring your manifesto to your ICP on a consistent basis. These 3 channels are part of your Broadway show, but there are others that you can tap into as well. So it is an incredible program. Now, the better the fit, the better the results. So if you want to work together, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM. Over there, you'll get all of the details. If you'd like to work together, all we ask is that you fill out a form and book a call with us. On the call, we'll figure out where you are, where you're going, and if it's a fit, we're off to the races right away. Founders are able to revamp their go-to-market strategy and start executing within 3 weeks of joining. We have incredible success stories that we've shared on this channel, and even more once you book your call, we'll share them with you as well. The better the fit, the better the results. So book that call and let's figure out if we can help you, and let's get started right away. tkkader.com/GTM. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, I drop an episode like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, and you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you have a fellow founder, if you're part of a Slack group or WhatsApp group of other founders that would get value from this, please share this video with them. It would mean the world to us. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside the SaaS Go-to-Market Coaching Program. Take care, everybody. Intro.